Hello. Today I want to talk to you about my move from Maryland to Arizona. Last year, in 2013, I decided to move from Maryland to Arizona. That decision wasn't an easy decision, but once it was made, I had to go into the process of planning the actual move. The first decision I made was to bring only what I could fit in my car. I knew I didn't want to move all of my furniture and all of my belongings, so I just wanted to move my clothes and a few personal things. The next thing I needed to do was plan the actual trip. I knew that I wanted to take advantage of traveling across the country and try and see some sites that I had been wanting to see. I knew I wanted to go to Mount Rushmore. Now, the problem is that Mount Rushmore is in South Dakota and in no way on the way from Maryland to Arizona. But I decided it was worth the time to take an extra day or two to go significantly out of the way to see this site that I otherwise probably would never go to South Dakota to see. So, in talking with a friend of mine, she decided to take some time off from work and travel with me. So, before I left, I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of podcasts and books on tape downloaded to my iPod so that when we would go through areas without good radio reception, we would have something to listen to. So, loaded my iPod with books on tape and podcasts, loaded the car up with all of my things, and my friend and I got in my car and headed west. The first place we stopped was at the St. Louis Arch. Now, it took us about a day and a half to get there, and when we got there we spent just a few hours, but it was worth stopping at that landmark because it's pretty well known, and I just wanted to be able to say I'd been there. After that, we left Missouri and headed north, going up toward South Dakota, where then we would head west and head all the way across the state to Mount Rushmore. When driving there, a few miles outside of where Mount Rushmore is, I saw signs for the Badlands. Now, to be honest, I wasn't 100% sure what the Badlands were. I'd heard of them before, and I had seen pictures, but I didn't know what it was. But from the signs, it looked like it was going to be a relatively short detour off of our path, so we decided, what the heck, we're going to take a look. And it was well worth it. We drove through this area where you could see some really amazing rock formations in the mountains, and it was just maybe a total of an hour outside of our original destination. Once we finished with the Badlands, we found the hotel for the evening, and then the next morning woke up and drove to Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore was a great experience. It was very beautiful there. We came on the perfect day. The sky was crystal blue with just a few clouds, and I was glad of that because I had heard that if you go to Mount Rushmore at the wrong time of year, you could get some fog. And if you get fog, you may not be able to see the carvings in the mountain. So we spent about a half day there, got plenty of pictures, then got back in the car and started to head southwest. That journey took us through the state of Wyoming, which I had never been to, and it was quite a beautiful ride. Then from Wyoming, we headed south to Utah and stopped in Utah at Mount Zion National Park. I originally wanted to go to Bryce Canyon, but it was a little bit further out of the way than I expected, and we went to Mount Zion National Park instead. which was beautiful. We got out of the car, did a little hiking, and from certain points within the park, you could see the very edge, far off in the distance, of the Grand Canyon, which was our next destination. So we headed down to Arizona and went to the Grand Canyon. I remember when I was a kid, we had gone to the Grand Canyon, but it had been a long time, and I was impressed. It was beautiful. And the day that we were there was actually a rainstorm happening in the canyon, but it wasn't raining where we were standing to watch it. So we looked out over the edge, the rim of the canyon, and we could see it raining in the canyon. It was really beautiful. After that, we had actually made better time than we originally planned and decided to take a side trip, which was unplanned, to Las Vegas. So we drove from the Grand Canyon to Las Vegas and spent a night at a hotel there. Now, we hadn't planned on doing anything in Las Vegas because we hadn't planned on going to Las Vegas. So we arrived in Las Vegas and saw a sign for Paula Poundstone. Paula Poundstone is a comedian, and she does a weekend radio show on NPR called Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And so I was familiar with her, and I called the theater, and the tickets were only $20 a piece. So we decided, what the heck, we'll go see a show while in Vegas. And we did. We went and saw the Paula Poundstone show. It was not well attended and not very popular. In fact, we got front row seats. But it was still fun to say that we saw a show in Vegas. And from there, we headed into Phoenix, where I now live. During the trip, it was important, there were two things that were important to me. First of all, my GPS. Without GPS, I don't know how I would have got here, because I'm not very good at reading maps, and I have a terrible sense of direction. So the GPS was really what saved us. The next thing I wanted to do was to take advantage of staying in many hotels and get as many points as I could because I collect Hilton points. So we stayed at different Hilton hotels, like the Hampton Inn and the Hilton Garden Inn, and we tried to get as many points as I could, because I figured if I got to pay for a hotel anyway, might as well get points so that later I can use them for a free night. So that was my trip. It was a long trip, but planned well, had a good time, and got to see many sights throughout the United States. Thanks.